Okay, I'm going to start with shampooing and conditioning, and I'm getting the hair really soaking wet. This is so important. I think sometimes we forget that you don't get the hair wet enough. You can see at the base I kind of miss it at first. But this is the most important step. Now usually I'm in the shower, but we're doing it this way. Anyway, so I'm continuing to get it soaking wet. Turn the water off. And now I'm going to use my shampoo. In this case, I'm using shampoo by the company Scene. And I'm going to shampoo in. I'm going in at the base, right? So if I was upright in the shower, I wouldn't plop it on my head. But I'm really scrubbing at my scalp, and I'm using my fingertips. That's really important. Your nails, if you scratch with your nails, you can damage the scalp when you're shampooing. So it's really important to just use the pads of your fingers. And you can see I'm scrubbing at the scalp, and then I'm gently working down the hair. I am not scrubbing the hair. The scalp is the most important thing to clean. When I'm cleansing the hair, it's because I'm getting product off the hair. The scalp, I'm getting product, I'm getting sweat, everything. So that's my first shampoo. I'm going to rinse it out because I'm going to shampoo twice, and that's important too. We have to make sure the hair is clean. There are times, if I've gone too long between shampoos, where I will shampoo 3 times. It's important that you get a good lather going, and you can see that the lather is starting to form. Now, look, I know this is taking some time, but I'm trying to show you guys how long it takes me to do my hair, and the only way I know how to do that is to show you just about every step. I mean, it's grueling in my opinion to watch, but here we are. So I'm still scrubbing away. Now you can see that foam. That's what I want. That's what I want to see right here. I think I'm going to hold it up to the camera in a minute. Yep, I do. See how foamy I am? That's shampoo too. That's what we want. You know, it's funny. The other day in the salon, I realized that when I'm getting the hair actually clean, the lather does indeed change. Now, how I missed this all these years, I don't know, but I missed it. So I'm just working it through. And now I'm going to rinse it. So there we go. I'm rinsing it out. Now you'll notice that I'm getting it off of the scalp. That's important. We can't rely on just the water and the suds. We've got to get it off. So I've gotten it out. I will say I cut some of that time in half. I'm going to condition with the Scene conditioner. Now, you'll notice I have not squeezed any water out. This is really important. Conditioner is a water-loving product. It works with the water. I hear so many people say, oh, you should squeeze it out, you're wasting product, but I'm not. You'll notice I'm getting that all in the hair and nothing is dripping out or leaving. Now I'm going to use my wet brush detangling. I like this vented brush for my hair. And I get everything worked through. Now, if I had heavier textured hair, I might splash a little water to see where I need conditioner, but I can feel that I'm getting the conditioning I need. And now I'm going to check, see right here, checking to make sure I've got it all in there, and I indeed do. I'm very conditioned. So now I'm going to rinse, and I'm working it out. I get most of the conditioner out. I don't leave a ton in on my mid-shaft to ends, but I don't rinse it squeaky clean, and that's really important. And so now I'm done rinsing, and I'm going to use my Allure Curl Foam. I really like this stuff. Oh, struggle bus here. Sometimes the pump is funky. So you can see how much I'm putting in my hair, and once again, I haven't squeezed any water out. I'm going to work it back, side, front, and then I'm going to comb it through with my hands. And what I'm feeling for is the same thing I felt for when I was conditioning. I want to feel a slip in the hair. I'm going to add a little bit more and continue to work it through. Now, at this point, I could flip up and use a wet brush, but I find that my waves do better if I just work my hands in there and then scrunch it. And there is a little squishy sound. That's what we want. I'm squishing all around. Notice I'm turning my head. And I'm really squeezing. Once I feel like I've gotten a good solid scrunching in, there we go. Yeah, I really work it. Now I'm going to grab a microfiber towel. I usually suggest t-shirts in the salon, but I like the size of this towel. And I'm squeezing. That's also important. I'm not rubbing back and forth or side to side. I'm gently squeezing. And then, once I've done that, I'm going to plop it. Once I plop, I will leave it up for about 15-20 minutes in my little plop. Okay, so my hair has been up like this for about 15 minutes, give or take. I got dressed and all that. Sometimes I leave it longer. And let's take it out. Okay, not bad. I put the foam on in the shower shampooing, soaking wet. I'm going to add a little bit more, about that much. And I now don't disturb the curl pattern. I'm going to add a little more on this side, not that much. It's a very light foam, so it's not very heavy, so I can layer quite a bit. I'm going to use a little spray gel. Suds Blowout is one of my favorites. All of these products are very light. It looks like I'm using a ton of stuff, but it's not heavy and it's very light. So now I'm going to diffuse. My sister got this when we were traveling. It's the Conair Infinity Pro. I really like this diffuser. It's pretty cool. Comes with it. So I am going to do high heat, high blow. And only because this isn't a professional blow dryer. Although I do it at the salon. And I hover diffuse for quite a while. I love how big this diffuser is. You don't have to always have like a Dyson or, you know, I don't know, whatever thing. Conair is a very decent brand. They make professional products called Fabulous. And what I have found is the biggest difference between like this blow dryer and say a Fabulous is maybe the wattage and the length of the cord. Coming back up, you'll notice I haven't cup diffused yet. For me personally, it's hard to watch people diffuse all the way. So you can go to my YouTube channel and watch this whole thing. If you're on my YouTube channel, you're watching this whole thing. I just cut my hair recently, so it doesn't take me quite as long to dry my hair, thankfully. When it was longer, in the video that somebody asked me about my hair, it probably took me, because I have fine wavy hair. I have a moderate amount. I don't have Chewbacca's mother's hair, but it's not super thin either. It would take me about 20 minutes to get from shower to plopping to then diffusing totally dry. What I'm feeling for is like, I want it to feel a little bit stiff, and it's almost there. Now, some people, this is going to take longer. This is for my hair. And I think, you know, when we're watching tutorials, when I'm sharing tutorials, what I'm sharing is technique, and you adjust the technique, the time, the product for yourself. It's really hard for me to say, when you send me a picture, what should I do with my hair? Because I can't physically see your hair in front of me. Now you'll notice that I'm moving my hair all the way around and how I hung upside down. This idea is the same concept as whenever I do a blowout, not a blow job, whenever I do a blowout, I will move the hair around back and forth to give it lift so it's not set in place. This is the same concept. So now I'm about where my roots are dry, and I'm actually going to, and this is going to freak some people out. I mean, take this how you want it. I'm actually going to add a little bit more foam, and then I'm going to start cup diffusing. So I'm adding a little more foam, about like that. And at this point, I hang upside down. Get a little at my base. This is kind of based off of something a friend showed me a while back. I think it's called this Master's Technique. I don't know. There's so much stuff out there. So now I've got it on a low blow, and I still have it on a high heat, but I got my finger ready to go on the cool shut button that I can hit intermittently. So I'm just holding it in place. You can hear the change in this, probably the motor. And then I'm going to move over here. Now, back in the 90s, we lost our minds and moved it around, which I could probably do with my hair. My hair doesn't frizz the way other people's hair frizzes. And so because of that, there's things I can get away with that some curlies can't. I actually like when my hair has a little bit of frizz sometimes because it doesn't expand in the same way that other curlies' hair expands when it frizzes. But it does it enough that I actually get a little bit of the lift or a little bit of volume. That is the caveat with having wavy hair that's very fine. What can happen in humidity sometimes is it looks like somebody sat on my head. It's like a flat, scraggly frizz sometimes. But when I get a little bit of a frizz expansion, I'm super excited about that. So notice I'm tipping my head back because I want to get underneath here. And I might hover a little bit in between. I mean, this can be very not entertaining. And it can feel like it's taking an extra long time because it feels like, well, there's my cool shot button. It feels like we're not doing anything, even though we are. So a lot of times what I do instead of making a video is I do podcasts. I listen to podcasts. I listen to music. Sometimes, I'm not gonna lie, I watch the TikToks. I see what's going on. I watch other creators maybe doing hair or, get all the deets on the latest hair drama in the TikToks world. I don't know. But it doesn't really take that much more time. It just feels like it because we're not actively doing something with every section of hair. So it's like a test of will and patience. I'm going to go upside down now. It's very exciting, Sometimes, I got a good pedicure. You can't see it, but it looks really good as I look at my feet while I'm upside down diffusing. And sometimes I get a little more dramatic, but I'm trying to stay in camera shot. Sometimes I bend, all the way. I'll show you. I'm going to disappear. I'm gone. I'm back. Like I said, this is technique. You kind of have to play around. I always suggest when you start with new products, start out with a smaller amount. Increase as you go. If you're really experimenting and you don't experiment right before you have to be at work or have to be somewhere. Because that's the time when you're going to say, oh, that didn't work, or I don't like that. And I always recommend, especially with fine wavy hair like mine, starting out much lighter. I figured out how to use this much product on my hair. And you know what? It was a learning curve. I started out with a small amount. I saw it work out. Sometimes I layer gel with my foam in the shower. I do mousse sometimes. It just depends. I'm actually actively trying to grow my color out. That's why I cut off a bunch of length. So I can get highlights with my natural color. I could anyway, but I like the red, but I'm kind of going away from the red, So obviously things changed when I cut off length. I had to figure it out again. Now, I do have the advantage of being a professional hairstylist. So things happen, I figure things out much more quickly. But really, I might be an expert in hair, but I'm not an expert in your hair. Where my expertise with your hair comes in is because I am an expert in hair. It's up to you and I to talk to each other. Oh, sorry, I'm not confusing. It's up to you and I to talk to each other and to communicate. And sometimes it takes me 2 to 3 times to do your hair before I kind of find the nuances to help you even more. But communicating is key. I ask a lot of questions. I ask about your routine. I don't just ask about your routine as far as your hair goes. I ask about daily life. How busy are you? You know, are you chasing kiddos around the house? How active are you? Like, I jog twice a week and I do hot yoga and, you know, things like that. I ask those kinds of questions. And then if you're somebody that just doesn't want to spend time, I do try to come up with a routine that works for you. But if you say to me, I want this look, I want to have this, even if it's just for a special occasion. Well, there are times that it's just going to take that time. It's just going to take it. It's not something you have to do every day. I don't do this every day. I will say, since I've cut my hair off, I am shampooing and conditioning my hair more. Before, I just pulled it up. Okay. So now I am mostly dry. I'm just checking. Yeah, it's feeling pretty good. I'm going to use a little bit of a serum. It's very light. This is Puring's My Salon Serum. I don't know if it's here in this country yet. I'm using just a tiny amount, so I'm rubbing it on my hands. I like to get it all over. And this just helps with friction. Sometimes I don't do it, but I actually really like to do it. Sometimes I get lazy. Okay, so now I've got a little bit of hairspray. I'm out of my regular aerosol hairspray, so I have some of this Nexus spray. I like an aerosol spray. You can use a pump hairspray if you like, but I dig it. Now, sometimes what I'll do in this phase, and I'll demonstrate it, even though I don't feel like I need to, but I'll demonstrate it. I will spray, and I will kind of feel around and see if I feel any damp spots. And I don't, because I was talking my head off at you guys. But I'll go back in and move up and down. So I'm moving up and down. Go upside down, up and down. Oh, there is a cool spot back there. And I'm still moving my head all the way around. So it's not very exciting. It's not very sexy. But right now on the video, I am at 12 minutes of actively styling and diffusing my hair. I'm going to use a little bit more hairspray. And then what I also like to do, I love a dry shampoo. And dry shampoo is actually a proactive product. So you can use it on day one, and then you can refresh on day two. This gives my hair a little texture because, like I said, very fine. And I'm just spraying at the base. I like the Suds Refresh because it doesn't leave a weird powdery substance. And it does the job. And it smells kind of yummy, but it's not too heavily perfumed. It dissipates so you don't smell my hair walking in the door. And I'll do a little hairspray. Sometimes I get lazy and say I'm done. I'll do a little bit of hairspray again after that. Now, if you don't want to use hairspray, you do not have to. Sometimes I'll use a little bit of a paste. But I'm a hairspray girl, and like I said, I was asked, what do you do? This is what works for me, and I think we forget that when we're watching things online and when we start to say, well, that's not going to work or that's too much. This is what works for my hair. It makes me happy. It makes me feel good, and I'm showing you because I got asked about it. So there we are. I used a Scene shampoo and conditioner. I used the Allure Curl Foam. I used the Suds Blowout. And then I used hairspray and dry shampoo, the Nexus and the Suds. And I did use a little bit of this serum by my Puring Sublime Oil is what it's called, but it's actually quite light. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 if you count shampoo and conditioner. There are days where I just do shampoo, conditioner, foam, and go with it. But if I want to get a few days of style, even with working out, this is the routine that I do. And I don't have to reapply product. So I hope that answers your question. I think I'm not looking at the camera and I'm looking at myself. Anyway, I hope that answers your question and I hope that helps. Overall, this video was probably 15 minutes. Yeah, there you go.